If you're new to woodworking, one of the essential tools that you can get for bowl turning is a bowl sander. Now, this tool may or may not be preferred by some folks, and some people like to use straight sandpaper, which I do for different reasons. I find that the bowl sander does a really nice job of sanding the surface of the wood without leaving a whole lot of sanding marks. Now, there is a couple little tricks that I've picked up on my own. I've kind of had to learn this on my own, so I never really had anybody teach me. But one of the things that you want to do with your bowl sander is you want to focus on kind of the area that's at the bottom of the spin with just a little bit of pressure. Now, what I mean by that is when you go to connect this to the bowl as it's turning, it's going to sit there and spin like mad. Now, if you just let it spin, it's not really going to sand a whole lot. You have to have just a little bit of friction there. So what I do as it's spinning, the bowl's turning around like this, it's going to spin. I'm going to lift up the bowl sander just a little bit to create a little bit of drag on the bottom portion of the disc here. So as it pulls, you'll see it's going to drag a little bit more and it's going to turn a little bit less. This is something that I kind of figured out on my own because I found that it just wasn't sanding as effectively as I wanted it to. And I realized that letting it spin magically was really kind of cool, but wasn't doing a whole lot of work for me. So I kind of had to adjust the way that I was working with this. It also works on the inside of a bowl as well. If you're inside, you do kind of the same thing. Give it a little bit of drag to catch the wood and give it a little bit more friction against the wood. The other thing that I've learned is that a lot of them that come with the little spongy base allow you to give it some curve under pressure, all right? So it conforms to the shape of the piece. You got to be careful with too much pressure though. It can come back to haunt you. If you push too hard, you'll end up driving deep cuts into the surface of the wood that are harder to sand out later. So be very careful with how much pressure you put on these things. You can end up wearing out the sandpaper much faster. You can end up causing little gouges that are really hard to sand later on. So just a moderate amount of pressure and a little bit of drag will get you a long way. And don't forget to go through your grits. If you start at 60 or start at 80, take step at a time. 100, 120 if you have that step, or 150, 180, 200 or 240. Usually it's 220 or 240. Up to 320 and so on. You want to try to avoid skipping grits. I find that sometimes you can cheat it depending on the type of wood. You can skip grits, but something like this hard maple here is not necessarily conducive to skipping grits. So I wanted to share that with you today, and I hope you learned something here. If this is your preferred tool for sanding, please let me know why in the comments. If you like other options for sanding for different reasons, please, I'd love to hear what your feedback is. I use multiple methods of sanding. I use sandpaper, I use discs, but I'll also put this in the comments so that you can check out this particular bowl sander if it's something you're interested in. Thank you again and have a great day.